For our next honoree, Kate Denneny Peckham, I'd like to welcome her husband Ted to the stage.
Sorry, I had to bring that up. Hi, my name is Ted Peckham. I'm very excited to be here tonight to announce or introduce my wife, Kate Peckham. I get to introduce her not just because I'm her husband, but I graduated from Bloomsburg too, so I'm sort of tied here. I met Kate during her sophomore year in class, and it didn't take long to know she was a great athlete because the professor put the picture. We used to have the student paper and the student union, the free paper, and the professor put it up there and said, "We have a celebrity," you know. And to be honest with you, her picture was in the paper all the time. Her team and her have gaudy records in field hockey and in softball. They won 2 national titles while she was here. They won, I think, 7 out of 8 PSAC possibility championships, and between field hockey and softball. The softball team went to nationals. Individually, she won, I think she was named All PSAC 5 times, Mid-Atlantic Regional All-American. That's 5 times between 2 different sports, field hockey and softball. She was named Mid-Atlantic All-American a couple times, All-American once in softball at the end. She scored the winning goal in the national championship. You get the gist. It was pretty, you saw her picture in the paper all the time. And at the same time, I had to eat crow because I played soccer here. And our soccer team wasn't as good. So I think between field hockey and softball, their record might have been something like 225 and like 20, something. I mean, it's really just crazy record. And we might have had 20 losses in a season in soccer. But Kate, if you know her, she is mostly she's quiet, she's humble. But when you put her on a sports field, she is hyper competitive, like all the people here that are making the Hall of Fame, I'm sure. I sincerely think she probably never thought she was ever going to lose when their teams went on the field. And she just does not like to lose. If we're down the shore, we're playing cornhole, she is playing to win, trust me. When the kids were little, I would sit there to the kids and I would say something corny like, my 2 boys, and they would be competing, and I would say, put a smile on your face. Make sure you're having fun out there. And they would look over at the mom, and my mom, Kate, would roll her eyes and go, "We're going to kick a little butt today and win, aren't we, boys?" So let me tell one little story that sort of tells a little bit about her, and then I'll introduce her. Back in, we were dating, I took Kate to a picnic at a high school friend's house, and they were playing wiffle ball. And home plate was in the back of the yard, and you hit towards the house. So if you hit the ball on the roof, it was a homer. And I had told the guys, I'm dating this girl, she bats third, and she's like all-American softball player, she's great. So as soon as we showed up, one of the guys said, "Kate, come over here, show us what you can do." So he grooved a nice, easy pitch right down the middle, and she didn't put it on the roof, she hit it over the house. And every guy there sort of the mouth dropped, and they all looked, and they looked right at me and said, "We'll take her, Ted, go sit down, you're on the other team." So with that, I'd like to say how very proud I am of Kate, and this really does prove that good things happen to good people. And with that, I will take another seat, and Kate, you're up the back, and my wife, Kate Peckham.
First of all, I would be way more comfortable if you guys were a group of first and second graders that I were speaking in front of instead of actual adults, so I'll give it a go. First of all, I'd like to say how humbled and honored I am to be inducted into the Bloomsburg Hall of Fame. Alongside my fellow inductees. Their accomplishments are truly impressive, and they are obviously well deserving of this honor. During my time at Bloomsburg, I was able to be part of two very successful teams, field hockey and softball. We were able to win numerous PSAC championships and even a couple national championships. And you can't do that without a collection of great teammates and coaches. In fact, many of my former teammates are already in the Bloomsburg Hall of Fame. Carla Shear, Jean Millen, Donna Brock, Cindy Freeland, Karen Hersler, just to name a few. Also, Bloomsburg's president, softball coach, and my former teammate, Sue Coker, is also here tonight, and she's a Hall of Famer. Thanks for coming, Sue. I appreciate it. I was also lucky I got to play for the same great coach in both of my sports. As many of you know, Jan Hutchinson is a Hall of Famer and impressive coach in the NCAA. Her records and accomplishments at Bloomsburg will have her go down as an all-time great coach in the NCAA at any level, including men and women. I was glad she showed faith in me from the very beginning of my freshman year through my senior year. Freshman year started out with field hockey camp. I think they should actually call it field hockey running camp because we did a lot of that. We would be up at school about a week early, and we'd have 3-a-day sessions of training. It just so happened that my freshman year of field hockey camp, the temperature every day was like 90+ degrees. We had about 30 freshmen going out, and they were dropping like flies. I remember being in my dorm room and looking out the window and seeing parents pull up and girls leaving with their bags packed and heading home, even on the first day. Also, during my freshman year, I was heading to a van ride. I think it was during softball season, and someone said, "What's been your worst freshman experience?" And I immediately raised my hand and said, "Freshman field hockey camp." It was certainly something you don't forget, but I'm glad I hung in there. It turned out pretty well. I'm fortunate that tonight some of my former teammates and friends have made the trip tonight. Terry Horseman Dougherty is here tonight. She was goalie extraordinaire on the women's field hockey and lacrosse team, but she was also the person, I called her up and I said, "Terry, do you have any pictures of our time spent at Bloomsburg?" And she sent me a bunch of pictures, and I looked at them and I said, "I can't send any of these in. They really had to do with our celebrations after big wins and our parties, and really weren't appropriate to send in." Also, my college roommate, Mimi McHugh, is here tonight with her husband, Jack. Mimi was also an athlete at Bloomsburg. We nicknamed her the Tower of Power on the Bloomsburg Club volleyball team. She did a great job. Also, Joy Sheffield Roberts, my longtime friend and field hockey teammate, is here tonight. I appreciate them all for coming. I'd like to give a special thanks to my mother-in-law, Lo McMullen, and my sisters-in-law, Diane Denneny and Kathy Ledgerton. Also, my brother-in-law, Roy, for being here tonight. I want to thank my sons, Sean and Connor, who are here tonight. They had to come. They didn't really have a choice. They had to come. Connor flew all the way from Chicago to be here tonight. Sean and Connor both excelled in sports at the college level. Sean played soccer at Lafayette, and Connor played men's tennis at Wilkes University, which is not too far from here. I was lucky I got to see them play their whole lives, but they never got to see me play, so they really just heard about my playing days through the stories I would tell about how we won championships, I got the big hit, I scored a goal, so they had to endure a lot of stories over the years. They also had to endure many car rides where different songs would come on the radio, and I would say, "Oh my God, that was our field hockey warm-up song," or "That was what we did our pregame infield to in softball." I think sometimes they just roll their eyes, and I think that looking at me now, post-hip and knee replacements, I think they're wondering, did their stories really happen? Hopefully tonight lends some credibility to all their stories I used to tell. I also want to thank my husband, Ted, who you just met, introducing me. He was a 4-year starter at Bloomsburg and captain his junior and senior year. I think he wanted to tell a lot more about himself, but he kept it pretty good. We met in sociology class, and when I was preparing a speech, I told him we met in sociology class, remember? And he said, "Really? I thought it was like biology class." And you can't blame him because our class ran Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and he really only attended on Monday and Wednesdays. Apparently Fridays were optional for him during our days. We dated at Bloomsburg and then married in 1989 and have been married for 32 years. My love of sports came mainly from my large Irish family. I was the sixth of 7 children, most of whom were very athletic. Most. My brothers played college football, baseball, and wrestling, and as the second youngest of 7, I spent a lot of time at different playing fields. Tonight, representing my family are my brother Tom, my sisters Patty and Marjorie, who's a former Bloomsburg alum, and one of the non-athletes, Major. Also, Marjorie's roommate Trish is here tonight. I wanted to say that. A special thanks to my brother Tom, who took the time and effort to submit my nomination for the Hall of Fame. I appreciate that he felt I was well deserving of this honor. I also like to mention my brother Michael and sister Colleen. They were great athletes back in their day, but were not able to see this event as they both passed away. My brother Brian also had surgery today and he's recovering, so he was also unable to attend. But the 2 most important people to me during my playing days at Bloomsburg were my mom and dad, Marge and Tom Denneny. My dad was my first softball coach at age 8. He always coached my brothers, but then I was glad he decided it was time to coach the 2 youngest, my sister Colleen and I. He had great knowledge of baseball and softball. I played field hockey, but he really knew nothing about that. He would come to the games and support us. He was my first coach and definitely my favorite. He always told me a couple things I always took to heart through my playing days. He said, if you can hit, they'll find a place for you. And he also said, when you're up the bat, be ready to swing in that first pitch, because sometimes pitchers like to groove that first pitch and put it over. So I was kind of always ready to hit right away. Susan would attest to that, I think. I don't know if Jan Hutchinson always liked that advice. She was my coach. Senior year, we had lost our longtime first batter to graduation. So one practice she said, is anyone willing, anyone interested in being the first batter? And I immediately raised my hand and said, I will. I think she was wondering, I'm not sure about that. Because the first batter usually is a patient hitter, watches pitches and tries to get on base. Patient hitter, I really wasn't. My mom and dad traveled to all my games. Field hockey and softball, whether they were home or away. Even though they had no idea the rules of field hockey, they were just glad to be there and support me. They also made lasting friendship with the parents of the other, parents of the other players. They never missed a game. In fact, my junior year in high school, my dad retired from his job at age 54. I really think just so he could make sure he never missed one of my games. Unfortunately, the summer before my senior year at Bloomsburg, my dad passed away. My mom got to as many games as she could with help from my other family members. I know they both would have loved to have been here tonight. Again, I'd like to say how very proud I am to be inducted into the Bloomsburg Hall of Fame. My years at Bloomsburg were the best. Athletically, we achieved a lot. Championships, numerous unforgettable seasons in both sports. Bloomsburg's where I met my husband, some of my best friends for life, and can carry away with me some of the best memories of my life. Thank you everyone for coming here tonight, and I appreciate all your support. Go Huskies.